Alright, enough of that. Alright, so what we're doing today is we're going over the display that's finally finished. Worked out all the bugs, got rid of all the issues, cleaned up some stuff, made it faster, cleared out some bugs with linking and unlinking of objects. We'll skip that because it's not important. It's a bunch of script nonsense nobody's ever going to understand anyway. So here's what we get in the box. You get the display with its enclosure, and then you get a flat panel version to stick on whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. The objects, the objects themselves are modify. You'll have copy modify permissions for them. The scripts are going to be copy only. The textures are full perm, so if you wanted to, you can make your own textures and display screens for each mode. And then the color script is not required. I've only implemented this in for those who aren't familiar with the build menu. So if you want to like cut down on scripts and only have 2 scripts running this whole thing, you can delete that because it's not necessary for it to run. So let's go over how this works. There's basically 2 controls. You have the main function button here, and then everything else is all touchscreen. So if we click and hold the Auda icon for like 2 seconds, it's actually 0.8, but nobody's gonna fucking count to 0.8, and then let go, it powers the device off and you get sounds. And if you click at it, just click it once, it'll boot the whole system back online, and then it'll default itself to the D2 settings menu. Now, you're probably wondering, or you may not be wondering, what all these numbers do. If you are wondering, I'll go ahead and explain that. If you're not wondering, too fucking bad. You're gonna watch this anyway. Or you're probably gonna skip ahead and trying to figure out where the next area is that's important. Or you just read the note card like a sensible person. Anyway, so your gas settings are going to be through 1 through 10. 1 being when you step on the gas, the car is going to go slower and it's going to be harder to get in a drift. It's good for grip driving. I cannot talk today. And then you have your brake, obviously 1, less brake, 10, more brake. Perms. This is going to be if you allow somebody else to drive your vehicle. So if you set it to 0, that means it's owner only. Set it to 1, and then it's anybody can drive it. And then when you click any of these options, when you click them, it changes the setting instantly, so you don't have to reset or anything. Steering, 1 is mouse look, 0 is key steer. Wheel lock, 8 says wheel lock affects mouse steer, but I haven't noticed the difference. But if you set to key steer with 0, and then you can change the wheel lock, the lower the number for wheel lock is going to give you a smaller and quicker turning radius. The higher the wheel lock, the larger the radius and the slower the turning, so keep that in mind. I just leave this at 5 because I'm mouse steer, so I don't think it matters. Transmission, 1 is going to be automatic transmission and 0 is manual transmission. Click shift, I don't use it, I don't know who does, but 1 is going to be enabled and 0 is going to be disabled, like binary. Let's go through display modes. If we click here, we'll get to the turbo pressure display mode. Now what this mode does is it will talk with the Pro Turbo script, which if you already have, don't worry, it's going to be compatible with the display. I was already a step ahead and it's already compatible, so don't worry. But if you don't have the Pro Turbo script and you're buying this, the Pro Turbo script is included, the full version. No mediocre half-assed version. You get the whole thing with it. And what this does is this will talk with the turbo script and tell it what boost pressure setting to be at. So, oops, FD is going to be the FD2 competition setting. Normally, the boost pressure value for that would be 1.35 at max and a low of 1.3. The display will set it to the max that you can have, which is 135. And then you can cycle through 1 through 10. I use these values because anything more than 10 just turns the car into a complete fucking rocket. And 5 is already a lot. It makes the car pretty fast. And these are big changes. If you were really gonna tune it, you'd be tuning it from like 1 and using decimal points, like tens of thousands, to tune the vehicle perfectly how you'd like it. This is just a broad spectrum number to base it off of. So that's how that works. And then again, this will change the value instantly. The turbo script won't take the value into effect until you, hit the gas and let off the gas, and then it reads it instantly. So the turbo value, or the turbo script, will read the value from object description wherever the turbo script is in. So mine is in the hood of the car. So it'll read this number whenever you are hit the gas or let off the gas. So whenever you hit W or let off W, it'll read that value. So if I set it to 6.66 because praise Satan, as soon as I hit the gas, it's going to take that value into effect and then deliver boost pressure within the RPM limits that have been set based upon this value. So that's how that works. I could go into more detail on TurboScript works, but that'd be giving out too much information. So that will work instantly. So I'll show you how that works actually. So if we go in here and hit, say 5, it'll set the turbo value to 5. When you set any of the settings, again, you don't have to reset. It'll just work. So if you're driving mouse steer and you want to set it to key steer, you just go to display, set key steer, and then continue driving as if you didn't do anything. The next mode is going to be your gauges display mode. The gauges display mode, I should have had it set default, but fuck it. I use this thing, I found out I use this to change the settings more than anything. The display mode works by showing your RPM here at the top. Your gear indicator will here. The gear indicator won't change until you shift gears, or when you resit into the car, it'll display 0 because the default gear is 0 for D2. And then down here is going to be your boost pressure, and then your shift lights on the enclosure for this display. Those shift lights will only work in the gauges mode. Keep that in mind. They won't work in any other mode. And then you click to the next mode. This is going to be your media player mode. Some people have issues with this. Sometimes you just have to click the screen and it'll load, or sometimes you have to click into this bar. Each person's different. LSL's fucking stupid like that. But it'll load Google's homepage by default, and then you can just go to like YouTube or whatever. Zoom in on this. And then you can just go from there. So if you want to like watch whatever, or if you want to watch something really stupid, you could pull up Badger 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 and listen to that for 10 hours straight. And this is an advertising service. Alright, enough of that. So that's how that works, and then you just click the icon again and it'll cycle back to the D2 settings. Now what does this look like when you're actually driving the vehicle, when you use like your gauges mode? Oh, there's another feature, I forgot to talk about this. So for those who aren't familiar with I was going to go back to the color script. So those who aren't familiar with the build menu, you can set the colors through a script that's included but not required to run the display. So if you do the /4 color, you'll get a, since I have 3 of these rezzed out, I'm going to get a bunch, but you'll get all this information here. And so you can change the text color and then the gauges color. You can also just set it manually if you want, but again, I included this for those who aren't familiar with the build menu. Makes it easy for everybody. Oh, fuck, I'm dying. So if I want to change the text color, I would do /4 for channel 4, T for text, and then space, and then I can pick any of these colors here to change the text color. So let's go with yellow. Oops. So do a yellow text. So that'll set all the text to yellow. Gauges are different, so we would do /4 space or /4 G for gauges, space, and then a blue. So if we did red, we'll get red. Again, you can do it manually if you want. You don't have to use the script. You can delete the script for all I care. It's not required. I just included it for those who might need it. Oh, and then another thing. All the textures here are full perm, so you can make your own if you want. Have at it. I don't care. But when you do make your own textures, make sure you rename them accordingly. So, you know, D2 settings, GPS, ignore that for now. That's going to be in a later thing. Then you have your gauges, your icons, which are all the numbers. Media, so when you hit the media page, offline is just black. You can change that to whatever. The turbos for the turbo page. Again, you can change those to whatever you want. It's up to you. Or don't change them. You don't have to do that. So I'm just going to change all this back to white. For text white. G white. Okay. Change the gauges back to white. And I set my steering wheel invisible so I can actually show you what this looks like. So again, the top bar is your RPM, the middle is obviously your gear, and then the bottom is boost pressure. So we can cycle through our gears. And then cycle all the way up down to reverse. Because it's a little R and it's so cute. Look at that R. Adorable. And that's pretty much that. With the turbo boost, Pro Turbo script, it's going to be included in the box, and in that is the, for fuck's sakes, can't do that because it's mesh, is this boost gauge here. The boost gauge will work accordingly how you would expect it to work. It'll default, you know, here for no boost pressure. When you get on the gas and say you're at like half of your rev range, it'll probably be 10 or 15. And then when you let off the gas, it'll go all the way down to vacuum and then back up, because that's how turbos work. So it's pretty accurate. I don't know what that sound was. And that's everything.